Hey, everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. You know this man in front of me very well if you're a fan of the sport. Pro bodybuilder, fitness model, trainer to the stars. Please welcome Brad Rowe. How are you, Brad?
Doing great, Ron. Thank you very much for having me on here.
Yeah, the last time you were actually on one of the early Ron lines in 2017. I look back at it. Ooh, the production values were, it was rough. So glad we had the chance to talk. And a lot of things have happened in the past 17, 18, was that 4 years?
4 years.
It's been a while.
Yeah, 3.5, 4 years. Yeah.
I know, we went over your whole background back then, but I can't recall. Is this true? You started fitness modeling before you started competing, or was it the other way around?
Yeah. I was just a gym rat after college, was working out, and I was the Ultimate Warrior for Halloween. And actually, Ed Connors had reached out to me on MySpace, and I had no idea who Ed was. I thought he was just this creepy old dude, so I totally ignored him. And then like a couple weeks later, Adam Silver, Silver Models, had reached out and asked me if I was interested in fitness modeling. I was like, I mean, if it pays, but I'm certainly not going to pay out of my pocket to pay for photo shoots.
Right.
Like within a week, I booked a huge GNC job, booked a muscle and fitness campaign, and then that was like right around the Arnold. So I'd gone out to the Arnold in 2010, and I was like hanging from the banners there, booked a bunch of photo shoots there, and I think I went to New York City in April to do a photo shoot, and I ended up going on a commercial audition, landed my first national commercial. And Adam was like, hey man, he's like, you should think about competing, because it's gonna expand your horizons in the sport. You might have to get a contract. And sure enough, before I even stepped on stage, I ended up signing with Universal.
Wow.
And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this thing a shot. So I put medical school on hold and moved to New York City for a while. And then Ed actually came around and found me again that summer or early fall in 2010 and convinced me to come out to California. So I flew out and did the Cal. He flew me out there, won the Cal, and I just fell in love with LA. And he's like, you need to be here. So I went home, sold all my shit, worked for a couple more months to save some money, and flew out here with a couple suitcases. And
wow,
the rest is history.
Wow, cool. So yeah,
I didn't live in a van down by the river, so it's not that cool. But it was definitely a struggle at first, but not as bad as most.
Yeah. So wow, you've been out there for about 10 years now, or close to it?
The 11 years now.
Wow.
11 years next month.
Yeah. So you grew up in Seabrook, New Hampshire.
Hampstead.
How was it? Hampstead? What?
No. New Hampstead.
New Hampstead. Yeah, you don't have your accent is completely erased. Can't hear even a tinge of it. But you did grow up near a nuclear power plant, correct? Is there a nuclear power plant
that's
there?
why it's so big. That's what I tell everybody.
That's why you have.
Oh yes, my house is literally between the two main entrances. It is in my fucking backyard.
Nice.
My road is a dead end, and it's a secret entrance to the power plant.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, I'm glad it all worked out for you. So, you retired very young from bodybuilding. We got to talk about this. Your pro career was only 5 seasons. These days, most people aren't even pro by the age you are now, but you've already hung it up. So here's the record, guys, just so you know how Brad did. 16 shows. Out of those, he had 5 top 5 placings, including a 2nd place and a 3rd place. And he was on the Olympia stage once, 2015, which was, only your 2nd pro season.
I got 2/3. Don't count me out.
2/3. Okay. Yeah. Math has never been my strong point.
Yeah. But, Phoenix and the Cal, and then 2nd at the Frigno.
Yeah. So first of all, if you never compete again, are you proud of what you did in the short time that you competed?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, bodybuilding for me was it was always a means to an end. It was something I loved, and it was something that just kept me busy. I'm a busybody. I'm 100 miles an hour all the time. I constantly need new challenges. So I competed for the challenge of it. I was realistic about my expectations in the sport. I knew I wasn't going to be a winner at any shows. I wasn't going to place top 5 at any type of Arnold's or anything like that. I used bodybuilding as a marketing tool and to challenge myself. So, I'm happy with my career. I wanted to compete a little longer. I had this idea of doing 30 shows over a 10-year span.
Wow.
And that's as a pro, and that's what I wanted to do. But my life went in a different direction, and I'm so blessed for it. So it's time for bigger and better things right now.
Yeah. Looking back, I mean, if you had wanted to do better as a pro, you would have had to put on a little more size, particularly in the upper body, probably. But would that have really screwed you up in terms of booking gigs for modeling and acting?
Oh, without a doubt. That's one of the things that made me so successful off the stage is I was always in shape. So I was always doing photo shoots. I was always booking commercials. For a long time, it was me and Cali Muscle. And whenever they had it was either they wanted a white guy or a black guy. We were booking all the commercials. So, and it really helped me a lot. I mean, just the health insurance alone is a huge break, in that world. So, again, like I said, I hit a point where I realized, like, you know what, even if I get bigger, I don't have the structure to be that great. I'm narrow through the clavicles, I'm wide through the hips. And by packing on more size, let's be realistic, my waist is just going to get blown out. It's going to make me look blocky, So I knew there was a point. I was like, all right, I'm cool here. I'll keep competing because I love it and I love the challenge, but I'm not going to push my body to the limits because I know it's just going to be, a derogatory endeavor at that point.
Yeah, you don't give yourself enough credit. You weren't that bad, Brad. I saw you several times. When we talk narrow clavicles, you're comparing yourself to people like Juan Morel with clavicles like Cedric.
I'm comparing myself to fucking Sean Roden, who I had to be in the posing room every single day for 3.5 years with, like waist this big. And, it's like, God, so having him as a training partner was like a blessing and a curse all in one.
Right. So just for touching on the acting for a second, everyone watching this has seen you, whether they know it or not. What are some of the most recognizable film, TV, commercial appearances that you made?
Some of the biggest ones were the GoDaddy with Danica Patrick. There's a ton of bodybuilders in that. We're all running through the streets of Long Beach. Yeah. I was in a really big Coca-Cola Coke Zero commercial for NCAA football. It was called Countdown to Kickoff. So I was number 5. So on the 5th day out, it was commercial of me playing every day, bench press and screaming out 5. Let's see, there was the Kia commercial with the hamsters. Me and Jerome Ferguson were working out with the hamsters. I had a Dannon Okios commercial with John Stamos. I did a Tecate commercial with Sylvester Stallone and Dolph Lundgren. It was kind of a twist on the Rocky theme thing, and it was like me and Dolph next to each other trying to fight Rocky and Sylvester and another guy. Man, I mean, the list goes on. I'm trying to think. I've done about 30 big national commercials, and then some other small ones. The big Taco Bell commercial with all of us, Mike O'Hearn and everybody in there, screaming about protein. So it's been a pretty good career.
Yeah, because a lot of people, when they think about acting, they think of movies and TV, but it seems like from people that I've talked to that have actually done it, commercials are probably the best way to go because
you're on in and off set one day, and like, I mean, things have changed now. They don't pay out as great as they used to. Yeah. But I'd make 25, 30 grand on one spot. And the most important thing, like I said, is the health insurance. I'm getting the absolute best health insurance for it was costing me like $417 a quarter for me and my ex-wife for like the best medical and dental in the world. So like that alone is a $20,000 boost every year, if you think about it. So, but you have to make a minimum. So like you got to make a minimum of like $17,000 a year in commercial work, but then you get that additional pretty much free health insurance. So it was like a $30,000, reward every year. So that was really one of the only reasons why I did it. I don't want to be famous. I'm gonna talk about that. I just pay the bills.
Yeah. So that's what, through Screen Actors Guild, that insurance?
Yeah, through SAG. Yeah.
Gotcha. So
I got it in this year, so thankfully.
Right on. I mean, you just have to make that minimum to be in it every year. Okay. So like I said, 35 is that how old you were when you did your last show?
35, yeah.
34,
35, yeah. 30, something, 37, no, 36. Okay. Japan, 2019. Yeah.
Okay. So how did you know this is it? I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore, because a lot of guys don't know and they keep hanging on for a long time.
It was a combination of factors. So I went through a pretty rough divorce. My wife left me in June, and it was coming. I knew that because of my Life Enhancement Center opening. I knew that once that was getting going, I needed to step away from bodybuilding. And it wasn't so much the time commitment. It's just, I'm the face of my brand, the face of my business. And walking around at 260 pounds does not scream health and wellness. So I wanted to downsize. I wanted to get back to my athletic endeavors, really being an athlete. I wanted to be this hybrid where I had enough mass where I'm kind of an imposing physique, but I can move, so I can keep up my athletes, and I look young and healthy. So I'm scream health and wellness. So that was on the horizon. When my wife separated from me, I realized that you know, I could have competed and I could have just buried that pain and focused and forgotten about it, but I needed to face it. I'm one of those people, like, I love challenges. And that challenge was, how do I heal from this? How do I become a better person for myself and whoever else comes into my life? And I knew that competing was one of the big things that really hurt our relationship. You know, I was a workaholic and a competitor. And one of the biggest issues in our relationship was we just didn't spend the time together. You know, we loved each other. We're best friends. There's no hatred, no animosity. My heart is finally healed and I'm ready to have a friendship with her. But, you know, we grew in a different path, and I didn't put the time, and she didn't put the time either, into, you know, nurturing a relationship. So I knew that it was time for me to enjoy my life. You know, everything that I'd worked for, literally as she left me, I landed this huge investment deal, negotiated myself a ridiculous salary, landed Mike Tyson, all this shit. And it's like, start fucking living life, start enjoying, you know? So I realized, I'm like, you know what? I can do the 90%. I can train every day like I love to, eat clean, but if I get invited to a barbecue or go out to dinner for people, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna learn how to live life a little more. So that's what I decided, that it's finally time to step away.
Yeah, you say downsize, but you don't look that much smaller to me. I mean,
I'm like 235. I was 235 this morning. You know, obviously I'm missing about 6 pounds of leg muscle, still recovering from my injury.
We'll get to
that. Yeah, but you know, I'm trying to get to like 230, 225, 230. You know, at 5'9", that's still physically imposing.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like I can get back to moving how I was when I was like in my 20s and in college. And that's kind of my new goal. So it's like I said, I'm trying to get this hybrid where, you know, I have an opposing physique, but it can also be functional and move.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's commendable because you train these superstar athletes, but that doesn't mean you have to be able to do what they do. But it sounds like you really do what they do as far as the same type of training.
Like, you know, I work with this kid, Chase Griffith. He's going to be UCLA's starting quarterback. He was Gatorade Player of the Year in Texas. And it's fun. Like, I got him doing agility drills in my yard, and I'm in there doing agility drills with him and keeping up with him. And he's like, holy shit, you know? So it's like, you know, I'm starting to work with a lot of professional athletes. And when I go to show them something and all of a sudden I'm moving quick, they're like, oh, okay, let's listen to what he says, you know?
Because I'm thinking like the Rocky movies, you know, the old man Mickey with the hats, blowing the whistle in the corner. He wasn't doing all the stuff Rocky was doing, but you're doing it right along with these guys.
Yeah.
So I want to know, how did you start training? I know you've been a trainer for a while. How did you start training high profile athletes? How did you start training celebrities? And ultimately, how did you end up becoming Mike Tyson's trainer?
Fucking shit luck. Truly, it's just, you know, in life, you know, everybody's like, oh, you're a hard worker. No, I know plenty of hard workers. I grew up in a fucking fishing community, you know, low class, blue collar. I know plenty of people that work 100 hours a week. That doesn't make you successful in life. Sure. It's about hard work and about having the right opportunities in life. And I was blessed to meet the right people throughout the years and make good connections. And you know, so one of my clients, that one of my best friends too, this guy Damien, he was actually the original investor in my concept. I met him at a biohacking conference when I was working for NewFit, that crazy machine I have. And so he had to back out of the investment deal because he was doing a deal with Tyson and had to invest a lot of time and money into Tyson Ranch and stuff. But one day out of the blue, I'm at the gym training people, and he's like, get over here. Tyson wants to meet you. I'm like, oh shit. So I cancel all my clients, pack up the newbie, go to Tyson Ranch to his office headquarters. And I walk in, Mike's sitting there smoking a blunt, all high on mushrooms. I walk in, he's like, what's this big motherfucker doing here? And I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, how the fuck you get like that? And I was like, this machine here. He's like, well, show me how the fucking thing works. Let's go. So I do a little rehab session on his back and shoulders. He's so fucked up, like so high on mushrooms. Yeah. I'm like, there's no way he's going to remember this or whatever. I had the opportunity. It's cool as fuck. The next morning he wakes up and he's like, I guess he told his wife, he's like, my back feels better. My shoulder feels better. She's like, yeah, that guy came with the machine. He's like, what guy? What machine? He's like, get him back. So I get a text the next day. Hey, can you come back? So yeah, I came back, worked on Mike again. And then from that point, I started doing rehab with him a couple days a week. COVID hit, everything kind of got shut down. And I don't know if you guys remember that first video that came out that went viral of Mike boxing, where he looked super fast. He's in a white t-shirt, just flying around. Well, yeah, he looked really good and he moved fast, but he fucked his back up so bad he couldn't move. So I get a call the next day. I had to go to his house in in Laguna, and he's in his bed in his whitey tighties, can't move. So I had to do some rehab sessions to get him moving, and then we started picking up the pace from that point. And then one day we were at the boxing ring, and I was like, Mike, let me get you on the machine before you step in the ring and box. I'm like, it's going to warm everything up, prime all your muscles. You're going to be more efficient in the ring. So I did this little procedure to him. He hopped in the ring. Within 30 seconds, him and his boxing coach trying to look at me to go, what the fuck did you just do?
Wow.
Like, he's moving so quick and so smooth. He's like, come here every day. So then I started telling him about the training aspect of things. I'm like, listen, Mike, this will help you with training. It's more efficient. It'll reduce your risk of injury. And literally that day, he's like, well, you're lucky because my strength and conditioning coach just moved to Arizona. He's like, you're hired. I'm like, all right. And that's, so from that point on, I was with Mike twice a day. I'd go to his office, warm him up before he boxed. Yeah. And then an hour and a half, 2 hours later, he'd come to my house and train.
So when you started working with him, was he already committed to that comeback, or did he? So nope. Was it?
It was an idea floating around in his head. There was a possibility, but he was in so much pain. He wasn't sure if he could do it. And, you know, he will sit there and scream at the top of his lungs. If it wasn't for me and the newbie, there's no way he would have been able to make that comeback.
Wow. So
you're no way to be able to stay in one piece.
So you're actually responsible for Mike Tyson's comeback when you think about it.
Small part of it. Yeah.
I'd say more than a small part, because it sounds like he was incredibly jacked up. He wasn't going to be able to do anything like that. There's no way.
Right. I mean, anybody that heard the Joe Rogan podcast, he was, you know, he gave me such high praise on that, and that was amazing. Yeah.
So were you there when he came up with that decision? Were you there? Were you in on that decision-making process with him about the comeback?
Yeah, I mean, everything's like, everybody just kind of discusses things, talks about things, you know, between his two trainers, you know, his boxing coach and this Mitts guy. And it was just kind of like, you know, they started floating around the ideas. And obviously I'm not involved in like any of the money stuff. And that's one of the huge factors of it. But they had already had the ideas of doing that League of Legends promotion, which is, you know, him and his wife's promotion. So, and essentially he'd just be the headliner of most of these League of Legends fights that they're going to do. And they're trying to get other athletes from other sports and stuff to compete in their sport. So it's not just going to be a boxing thing. They had this big vision around it. So it's exciting to see what's coming next. We were supposed to do Holyfield in May, but now that's getting pushed back to September. I hear there's some contract issues and things going on. So at the moment right now, Mike's been traveling, doing a ton of, you know, movie work and commercials. He's getting dragged all over the place because he's Mike Tyson again and back in the mainstream. So, you know, it's exciting to see what's going to come next out of that.
So I'm just curious, as his trainer, I don't know if you ever trained anyone for a professional boxing match before that. You know, what were the most challenging aspects of it? Was it his age? Is there a lot of like arthritis and things like that he had to deal with?
Keeping him healthy. Yeah, keeping him healthy. Mike's got really bad lower back. He's got a lot of herniated discs. He's got shoulders are absolutely junk. So it's finding movements that he can do that he doesn't get hurt. Trying to find strength and like conditioning movements and stuff that won't screw him up. You know, Mike's one of those people, he's old school. He's like, I got to sprint. I got to do sprints. It's like every time he does sprints, he's laid up, can't move 3 days. I'm like, Mike, you can't do sprints. You know, we got to be smart, you know? So it's just, it's trying to adjust for a 54-year-old man that's beat the living shit out of his body for decades and decades and decades and hasn't been kind to himself, especially the last 10 or 15 years. Yeah. So it was definitely a challenge.
Yeah, but I would hazard to say, you know, after working with you, that's probably the best physical condition he's been in probably since his, I'm going to say late 20s, if I had to guess.
Yeah, easily. If you guys had seen what he looked like at 6 weeks out, I'll show you some images. He was shredded. He was in great shape. And then he hurt his back a little bit, had some major sciatica issues. We had to take a couple weeks off and, you know, mentally all of a sudden he fell off his diet. So what he looked like on fight night wasn't remotely close to what he'd really looked at like 4 to 6 weeks prior to that. So as like a physique standpoint, I was really disappointed. I was like, fuck, you're so much better. But performance wise, he made 8 rounds. His conditioning was great. He moved good. And that's the most important thing from a boxing standpoint. But for me, I'm like, I want Mike on the cover of Sports Illustrated, shredded out of his mind. You know, that's my goal. That's his goal for the next one. He keeps showing me these photos of a shaved monkey, they call it. It's like this jacked fucking, he's like, I want to look like that for your next fight. I'm like, all right. Man, I'm like, wow. You got to stick to the diet. That's the most important thing, you know?
Yeah. What did he weigh in for that fight, roughly?
228.
Okay. So that's not too much heavier than when he was young and winning everything. Yeah. Wow. Commendable.
Yep.
Yeah. I want to talk about that new fit for a second, because they call you the electrician. You're definitely one of the best known practitioners with this machine. So can you tell me how you discovered this, how you found out about the new fit machine, and can you explain what it is to those of us who have no clue?
So what NewFit is, it is a neuromuscular re-education system. So it is a device that sends out a DC current that mimics our body's nervous system. And from a rehab standpoint, we can search and detect neurological deficiencies, areas that aren't firing efficiently, which lead to overuse and imbalance, which is what led to the initial injury itself. So we do the scan process, find all these neurological impedances, put pads on you, actively send you through ranges of motion, contracting those muscles that are affected. And through a series of treatments, we can reprogram the nervous system to fire more efficiently, thus doing away with the root cause of the injury. And then from different frequencies, we can elicit a much greater muscle fiber recruitment. So there's frequencies that we use for performance-based training. So I work with a Saudi Arabian track athlete. He's a 100-meter guy, qualified for the Olympics. I work with like Chase Griffin, who's a UCLA quarterback. I got Connolly's son, who's going to be a hockey star. Yeah. So for them, we do performance-based work. There's frequencies we use to really focus on fast twitch muscle fibers. And then there's lower frequencies that are more hypertrophy based. So from the hypertrophy standpoint, we pad you up, whatever body part we're training. And the beauty is like, say you need to work on your quad sweep more, we can put more pads on the sweep or more pads on the adductors. So we can really focus where a lot of this energy is going to be placed. So you're getting a much greater muscle fiber recruitment. You're getting about 90 to 95% recruitment on every rep you do. The most elite athletes in the world are lucky if they're getting 60 to 65% recruitment on their very last rep of their very last set. So we're making training extremely efficient. We're improving neurological function, reducing your risk of injury, and shortening the amount of volume that you actually have to train. So you're preserving your body as well.
Yeah, because when I talked to Dr. Conley a couple weeks ago about this, it sounded to me like it'd be even more valuable for older guys, 40s, 50s, beyond.
Right. I mean, look at Dexter. Dexter, I say Dexter's still my Mona Lisa. Mike's up there, but I think Dexter's my Mona Lisa. If you look from what Dexter's legs look like in 2018, 16 sessions into 2019, it's light day. I'll text you the photos that you can post because it's remarkable. So how I got the device, my ex-wife was at Gold's and she was doing the hammer strength shoulder press, like facing in, like Charles Glass has you do it. Yeah. And the seat collapsed and she had 245 plates over her head and she went to a split and tore both of her rec fem insertions in her hip. There was this power lifter that used to come and train with Mike O'Hearn all the time. Yeah. And he became fans of ours and followed us. And he had been doing some work with NewFit. So he saw her injury and he reached out to NewFit. He's like, hey, there's this couple. They're great people. Is there any way you can help her? So they sent us a machine just as out of the goodness of their heart to help my ex-wife get back from injury. She was supposed to be in a walker for 12 weeks. By 12 weeks, she was leg pressing at about 65 to 70% strength. Wow. We sent the machine back. I thought it was over and done with. And then I flew to Dallas, to Destination Dallas, to do a photo shoot with Gasp. And when I was there, I ruptured my bicep during the photo shoot. And they were doing a demo because it was, Destination Dallas's big 5-year anniversary. And so I'd already had a relationship with the guy that was the vice president that was there. And he's like, Brad, don't worry. We'll send you another machine. We'll get you back on track. So I had, the distal bicep surgery. I was supposed to be 16 weeks without any direct bicep work. Yeah. And I ended up stepping on stage in Romania, taking 5th, 14 weeks post-op. Wow. So when that happened, I was like, I'm buying this thing. I want it. So I bought it, went out, got certified, became a practitioner. And I was really the first one I was the first one to introduce into this in the bodybuilding world.
Oh, yeah.
And the eyes that I got and the looks that I got were just out of this world. I'm so blessed to have relationships with the Sean Rodens, with the Dexter Jacksons, with the Hele Trevinos in the world. And they were like, listen, if you're pushing it, then it's something. We trust you. So they allowed me to get on them and they were blown away. And then from there on out, kind of the rest is history. And around that same time is when I really got into like the athletic scheme, because there's this guy, John Smith. He's the coach of US track and field. So he has athletes from all across the country, even Canada and across the world, the track athletes that come in and they do their workouts at 4 a.m. at Gold's. So he'd see me. John's an ex-Paralympic, won the Panama Games back in the day. He was a great track runner himself. So he's like, listen, I'm gonna let you get on me first. Let's see how this is. So he's got bad knees. He's 70-something years old. Oh. After like 5 or 6 treatments, all of a sudden he's doing jumps and he's lunging. He's like, I haven't done this shit in 20 years. He's like, holy shit. He's like, all right, I'm going to let you on my athletes. So one of the main athletes I ended up working with closely is Abdullah, who's from Saudi Arabia. He's a 100-meter guy. He had fractured his shin, and the machine can help heal major injuries like that as well. There's some healing factors. So I got him back on the track about 40% faster than they had predicted. And his first meet, he broke his PR and qualified for the Olympics. So that was like the big introduction there. And then from other connections, I worked on Dwight Howard for a little bit when he first got to LA. I probably got like 15 sessions on him that I was working with. My clients, Damien and Brandy, they're amazing people. So they have a ton of connections. I was working on Anthony Kiedis, the singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers for a while. So it's just been through Tyson Ranch. I mean, so many people, Mike's a celebrity. Yeah. So before COVID hit, like I'm sitting there just having a casual conversation with Jerry West. We're just hanging out because we're watching Mike, and like I see Halle Berry every day, and then all these UFC fighters, Dustin Poirier, you name it, everybody's in there. Triple C, Henry Cejudo, all those guys, Kurt Angle, they come in, and Mike's like, you got to try this thing, you got to try this thing. So I'm working on all these guys at Tyson Ranch, pretty much every day, getting connected with all these athletes and stuff. Man. So it's been an amazing opportunity for me. Truly, I mean, I owe everything to NewFit, because from there, I went to my first biohacking conference. Dave Asprey, who owns Bulletproof Labs, went to this conference. And then I became obsessed with the biohacking world. How do we reverse the aging process? And then that's really what my focus is now. So, and that's what came up with my concept of my gym, my Life Enhancement Center. So I'm in the process. We found a location. It's absolutely out of this world. It is way more money than we had budgeted for, but it is such a phenomenal location that we're trying to make things work. So hopefully by the end of this week, we'll have a lease proposal in on this 46,000 square foot, absolute state-of-the-art facility. EA Sports just committed to 80,000 square feet within the little community. Wow. It's so high tech that you walk by with your phone, you don't even touch doors. The doors open for you because you have an app in your phone. Like, it's crazy like that. It is the most beautiful place in the world, and it screams what we're trying to accomplish. So hopefully we get this deal done, and we'll be open by January 2022 is what we're looking at. But we're trying to create the best health, wellness, and performance center in the world. My investors have very deep pockets, and everything they do is absolutely top of the line. And they have been so supportive of me throughout this whole process. I couldn't be more blessed at the moment.
Cool. So without giving away the exact location, is it LA area?
Yep, in Marina Del Rey.
Okay. Oh, well, okay.
It's now called Silicon Beach, because that's where all the tech companies are moving. Facebook's down the street. Netflix is down the street. Apple's opening up a big area there. EA Sports just moved their headquarters there. So, and that's really, even though I'm creating something for like what's a professional athlete's dream? I know that I'm not going to have all professional athletes. It's going to be these tech guys, that love health and fitness, that have money, that love all this high tech stuff that we're offering there. So that's going to be my primary member. So that's why we wanted to be there. And it's a lot more expensive to be there, but we think it's going to pay off in huge dividends by doing that.
I think so. And this has been in the works for how long?
2.5 years I've been working on this.
Okay.
Cool. And that's the thing. It's like, people are like, oh, why isn't the gym open? I'm like, it's an $11 million deal. This isn't fucking $150,000, $150,000. I'm opening up a Planet Fitness or a Hard Knocks or something like that. This is
Knocks.
Major, Hard Knocks. This is a major undertaking. And, my investment group are very meticulous about everything. I mean, like, it takes like 3 days to get a 1-page NDA done, because the semicolon's in the wrong spot. And it's like so frustrating, but it's like, they have my best interest at heart. So, I just let the people with a shit ton of money that have made a shit ton of money make those type of decisions, and let me just be the visionary and do my thing.
Just so that people know the inside joke, that's a little hardcore dungeon gym, Hard Knocks, in Amesbury, Mass, right?
Massachusetts. Yeah.
John Cena trained there when he was a kid, and you must have trained there too. I'm
guessing. He's kind of the one that made it semi-famous.
Yeah,
so
okay. So speaking of gyms, you're speaking to us from your gym.
Yep.
What's it called? Death Row Gym, ROWE.
Yeah.
Took me like 5 minutes to get the joke there. But so did that whole gym? That's a converted like 2 or 3 car garage, isn't it?
Yes, well, it's technically like a 1-car garage. You know, when COVID hit, obviously gold shut down, and I was just like, all right, like 2 weeks, what am I gonna do? I can't go without training for 2 weeks. So I bought a Bowflex. That was the first thing I got. So me and Connolly, he'd come over every day, would train on the Bowflex and use some bands. And then things started looking like it was going to take a little longer. So then I got a belt squat and I got some dumbbells. Next thing I know, I've dumped $80,000 worth of equipment in this place. And I have an entire training studio. I also have a 10 by 20 foot tent outside with a huge top of the line Arsenal strength power rack, assault bikes, rowing machine, glute hand bridge, another regular spin bike, a prowler. So I've got treadmill, 2 spin bikes, leg press, leg extension, leg curl, chest press, the Bowflex, belt squat, dumbbells up to 120 pounds. And I've got this cool prime rack there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the prime equipment does everything. So it has the attachments for seated rows, for pull downs, you know, for dips, for RDLs. So literally everything you could imagine I have in this tiny little space.
Yeah, I mean, it looks a lot bigger. I think Connolly posts occasional training videos from there. It looked bigger. Because I think he said one time it was you, the only people to train there, or one time it was like surreal because it was you, Mike Tyson, and Dexter all were training there at the same time.
And Odell Beckham Jr.
And Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, all in here at the same time. I'm like, what is going on? I have Mike Tyson and Odell Beckham Jr. in my garage in Inglewood in the hood. I'm like, what the hell?
Is it true Dexter did the majority of his workouts for that last Olympia right there? Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That's because he looked pretty damn good. I guess you have everything there you really need. So
I mean, I'll say this from my perspective. Nutritional input needs to match metabolic output. And you know, that was that's why Dexter didn't really look all that par, because that's the thing. I mean, when you train on the newbie, you're exerting so much more energy, you're burning through so many more calories. And at 6 weeks out, Dexter's like, I can't keep my weight up. I don't know what's going on. We can't keep my weight up. And he showed up on stage looking small. I didn't have to do the training. The training was there. Nutrition didn't support that. So I'm gonna leave it at that. That's me, because I got a lot of backlash on that. I'm like, nope, not on me.
I mean, considering, it wasn't the best Dexter I'd ever seen, but it wasn't, you know.
But it could have been. It really could have been. And I want another shot.
You think he's never coming back? Really? Come on.
I won't throw Dexter under the bus, but there's a little country in South America that he would like to compete in because he has a big fan base. So,
okay.
You know.
Little country. Brazil's a big country, so it can't be Brazil. Anyway, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Well, that's
all right. Time to talk about your horrific injury just for a minute. So you were shooting hoops somewhere around that area, January 6th, I think it was. It looked from the video like you did the 3-point shot, and then I think you just came up and you were just going to jump up to touch the rim. Is that what was going on?
Yeah. It was just you know, me and my best friend. You know, when I retired, I really started transitioning back into being an athlete, and I love playing basketball, so would go to the courts a couple times a week, shoot around, play. You know, not getting any games. I know that I wasn't conditioned. You know, my joints and tendons weren't ready to do that. Yeah. Like, even when I was competing, I'd shoot around a couple times a week, and I'd jump up and grab rim all the time with no issues. Wow. So I just had him film a little segment, me shooting a 3-pointer, dribbling, going in, gonna run up and grab rim by both hands. And as I jumped, my quad tendon just snapped as I was lifting up. My whole body went sideways. I came down, smashed down, fractured my wrist, fucked my shoulder up. My kneecap was over to the side. I looked, my quad tendon was, my whole quad was up in my hip. And I was like, well, I'm going to make this the best thing that ever happened to me. And he's like, the fuck is wrong with you? I'm like, bro, I ruptured my bicep and it became the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm like, I have a lot of eyes on me right now. And I'm opening this center, this health and wellness center with all these recovery modalities. And so everything that I'm going to use to heal myself, and I'm going to fucking do it in record pace, is what I'm going to offer in my facility. And it's going to be the best fucking marketing out there. And sure enough, I'm 3 weeks post-op right now. I can jump. I can run right now. I'm not 100%, but I'm so far ahead of schedule. And again, with all my connections, I have a lot of professional athletes' eyes on me. Saquon Barkley shoots me a DM the other day asking me about some protocols with a newbie, because he's watching my recovery.
Yeah.
And those are the type of eyes I have on me. So it's like, immediately I was like, it was the happiest I've been in years, Ron, because and seriously, after retiring and after the divorce, I was just like, and it's just like, it finally gave me passion and purpose again. It was like, I had this major challenge ahead of me and I was like, let's go. This is how I thrive, so it's been fun.
So you're just 3 weeks from having your quadriceps reattached?
3 months. 3 months.
3 months. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Still, that's
they told me it's going to be a 9-month recovery to get to 100%.
Of course.
I want to dunk a tennis ball by July 2nd, which is my birthday, which is exactly 5 months post-op. So I'll cut that recovery time down by 4 months.
Wow. So is it mainly the newbie, or what else have you been using to rehab?
Everything. So I have a hyperbaric chamber at my house. So I'm in the hyperbaric chamber. When I first got the surgery, I was going 5 days a week to another facility that has the real crazy hyperbarics. Doing that every day. I've done stem cells, all peptides. I have a biomat, which is PEMF, and all these crystals with negative ions. I have, what else do I have? BFR system I bought to help blood flow restriction, which helps kind of keep the atrophy down, but it also helps flush fluids and everything out. I got a red light. It's like this company makes this red light, blue light, and it's all these different frequencies to elicit different type of healing responses. So I bought this whole system. I have about $80,000 worth of recovery stuff. I made this whole biohacking room in my spare bedroom. Wow. There's a hyperbaric chamber in there. There's an infrared sauna. There's a massage table with the biomat on it. Everything in the world in that one little room. Like I have a ridiculous setup. I don't have to leave my house ever if I don't want to. So
you're not kidding around, are you?
Life's been good.
No, but that's a lot of all that equipment. I mean, geez, you got the gym right there. You got all that stuff. It's like a one-stop shop in Inglewood of all places. But wow.
Exactly. And then that's how I look at it. Like guys like Mike and some of these other athletes, they can come here and train. But then I also say, hey, go relax, hop in the hyperbaric for an hour. All these different recovery modalities are going to make them better, make me look better. So that's why I was like, it's worth spending the money, making that investment, because I'm just going to help my clients even more. Speaking
of looking better, you have to be one of the people, aside from maybe obviously there's some fitness influencers now who stay lean because that's their job, is to take pictures of themselves every damn day. But you've been shredded since I met you. God, years and years ago. You stay so lean. For all the people out there who desire to be lean and ripped like that all the time, can you just share a few tips, a few things that you do? I know it's a whole lifestyle, but just a few helpful hints for the people out there who would like to carry that kind of really tight condition all the time.
I train at a fast pace. My training isn't nearly what it was when I was competing. Now it's like now I weight lift. I don't train anymore, so, but I keep moving on training. My heart rate's up. I'm moving at a fast pace. I do about an hour cardio every single day. I still have this routine, doesn't matter. I love to wake up. I do kind of a full upper body pump, some abs. It's like a 40-minute little circuit that I do. And then I get on and I do 30 minutes of cardio. Then I go throughout the day. I don't eat during the day. I fast. I do intermittent fasting. Mostly lately it's been more like 18 to 20 hours a day that I'll fast. But wow. I even did the Japan Pro. I was fasting 16 hours a day and doing keto when I prepped for Japan. So I just wanted to prove that it was possible. So, for the most part, I'll fast, 20 hours. I might have some aminos and some like nitrox product before I train. And then after train, I'll have some protein shake, and then I'll eat one gigantic keto meal at night before bed. And I do that like 6 days a week, 5 days a week. Maybe one day I'll have 3 meals throughout the whole day. And then Sundays are typically kind of like a high carb day for me. I drop the fats, keep the protein kind of low and moderate, and just eat a bunch of carbs and refill out and kind of boost my metabolism. But I'll also do another half-hour cardio after I train. So I'm doing an hour cardio every day. For me, it's like office hours. I've got a million emails to write. Unfortunately, I'm traveling a lot as a trainer right now, going to this person's house and this person's house. So it's really hard to get everything going. So when I'm on the treadmill, those are my office hours. So I'm catching up, writing emails, doing all that kind of stuff. And it just kind of keeps my head right and keeps business on track, but also helps keep me lean.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a great tip, because a lot of people, That's what they hate about cardio. It's just, it's so mind-numbingly boring. But you could be on Facebook or Instagram on your phone, but this sounds a lot more engaging.
Right. I'll do that. Or, I've been really trying to be diligent about either reading books or listening to audio books and stuff like that. I've gone down this whole personal development, spiritual endeavor, which we can talk about. It's kind of really unique since the divorce. So, if I don't have emails to write, I'll throw on an audio book, or I'll try to read some books, some ebooks while I'm doing cardio as well. Just try to enrich my mind and just become a better human being. So that's another way to kill a good time.
Yeah, we'll talk about that for a second, because we never talk about spirituality or anything very deep on these interviews I do.
Yeah.
So tell me, like.
So yeah, obviously after the divorce, I was fucking heartbroken. Hindsight 2020, was I happy in the marriage? There was things that could have changed. Loved her to death, but it blindsided me. I'm old school New England guy. You make that commitment to get married, and you're fucking there till you die. So it destroyed me, absolutely destroyed me. And I was in a real dark place. So my clients, again, the same people that hooked me up with Tyson, the wife co-founded Rhythmia, which is an ayahuasca retreat in Costa Rica. And a lot of you guys who followed Dorian know that Dorian's done the ayahuasca and the DMT and gone down that whole path. So they set me up with some shamans, and I've done 5 different retreats, 4-day-long retreats now, where I go away and I do ayahuasca and all these other plant-based medicines. And really what it does is it gets deep down into like childhood memories and issues, things that happen in your life that create patterns of how we act and how we respond a certain way. Like I knew that my dad not being around in my life, had an impact on me, but I didn't realize how prevalent of an impact it was. Like I've lived my entire life with this like sense of abandonment and sense of feeling like I'm not worthy of love and I'm not worthy of acceptance. And that drove me to be a fucking perfectionist. It drove me to every single thing I did. I wanted to be the best at it. And I give myself to everybody around me, and I create no boundaries because I want to make everybody happy in hopes that they will like me. And, and it's gotten me this far in life, because it's pushed me this hard. I always had to be the hardest working. I remember it came up in a vision. One of my father's gay, and I'm sure you guys might know about that, but like one of his boyfriends when I was young, one day, 'cause my dad was a horse trainer. So like when I was with my dad, every day you're up at 5 a.m. and you're on the farm, taking care of the horses. So it wasn't enjoyable. You were working. And like one day in the winter, I was like probably fucking 9 years old, and I wanted to sleep in. And I overheard his boyfriend say, "Your son's lazy. He's never going to amount to nothing." You know how much of an impact that had on me? Like I refuse ever for anybody to say that I'm not the hardest working person in the world because of that one moment. So it's gotten me here, but everything I've accomplished in life doesn't mean anything because it didn't come from the right intentions. Like I'd accomplish something, I'm like, all right, what's next? That's it. I couldn't value what I accomplished because it didn't come from the heart and it didn't come from what I really wanted. So you dive into this deep psychedelic world, and all of a sudden these memories and this pain comes up, and it makes you fucking deal with it. And like I've gone times where like when I left these retreats, like I was depressed for like 8 weeks after the one I went on in December, because it brought up all pain from my childhood, brought up pain from the marriage, but it forces you to deal with it, and it forces you to face it, and then you get to move on so much faster. So there's tons of research where it's helping people with PTSD, with drug addictions, with all this stuff. It's going to be the new wave of psychotherapy, because it's so hard for a therapist to get down deep and find those memories. Not only that, if they do find them, how do you break that hardwiring that makes us act the way you are? And this speeds that process up like 1,000-fold. So it's so much more effective. It's absolutely ridiculous. I found my true connection with God through all this. I was able to heal and move on from my ex-wife. I was able to learn how to love myself more and how to create boundaries. So it's been, as painful as the divorce was, I am a much better human being, and I'm in the best place I've ever been in my entire life 10 months later now than I was in June. So I'm so thankful that this happened, because it's brought me here in life. So it's been a wild journey, and I'm so grateful for the people in my life and the people that I've connected with, because when I first met them and they were showing me this show, I'm like, these fucking people are crazy. Like taking this drug, doing psychedelic trips, fucking you're shitting and puking your fucking brains out during the whole process. But it's a purging. It's a purging of negative energy. Like my first time, I remember I started puking and I was puking so hard. I'm screaming. I'm just like, ah! I couldn't even fucking breathe. I thought I was going to die. I'm like, I'm going to choke to death and die. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And then it stopped. And I just felt so overwhelmed with love and gratitude. It was just like, how the hell did that happen? It was like, that was like the worst drunken hangover puke you've ever had in your entire life. Then all of a sudden you feel amazing, you know? So it's been an incredible journey, and I've become a hippie, you know, I'm a new age hippie now. Like I go to the beach. I try to, like, once a month or so, I try to go to the beach and do like a high dose of mushrooms and just hang out, because it's the only time I can disconnect. I'm a go person. So I do this. I don't care about my phone, nothing. I just hang out with my friends, relax, enjoy the sun, enjoy nature, you know. So it's been a whole crazy transformative year for me on so many different levels.
Well, thanks for explaining that whole ayahuasca experience, because I've had a couple people try to explain it, but none of them really put it that eloquently where I could grasp the whole reason and the effects it would have. So thanks for clearing that up for me, because I honestly did think it was a bunch of hippies and just, you know.
Right. So did I. I'm like, people fucking feel weird, but once you do it, it's like, wow, you know, it's so transformative, so profound. You know, it can either bring love into your life or help you face with pain and issues. You know, it's really going to be a new wave in this country, and we're starting to see certain areas that are legalizing some of this stuff. Like my clients are actually in the process of opening up their own retreat in Ojai, California, and they're able to do this under the Freedom of Religious Act. They're partnering with this church from Brazil called the Santa Diame, and they have fought with the government and are allowed to use the same way that the Native Americans can use peyote on their reserves under the Freedom of Religious Act. So they're in the process of creating this retreat. And you know, my client Damien has a lot of friends in the military and stuff. So his big focus is getting these guys, these ex-special forces guys with PTSD and all this stuff, helping them heal, you know, and helping people with addiction, you know, taking homeless people off the streets and especially battered women and helping them to try to get back to life. And that's what this medicine can do. And, you know, you're starting to see clinical studies that are proving the efficacy of this. So as laws change and we become more accepting, we're going to realize that Mother Nature provides a hell of a lot more than what we need. Instead of taking all these SSRIs and all these other drugs that cause damaging effects and long-term issues and create more issues, Mother Nature provides things for us to learn and heal.
Cool. Wow. Well, Brad, this has been excellent catching up, because, you know, I follow you on social media and everything. I've talked to people that know you, so I always kind of know what you're up to, but it's always good to get the true update, especially with your this new business, the Life Enhancement Center. That sounds like it's going to be a huge thing. I'm very happy.
Fingers crossed we can get this property. It's about $100,000 a month more than we had budgeted. So we gotta kind of spin and expand our model and look at some potential subleasing opportunities. But I think it's an absolute home run hit if we can get it. Yeah,
and I mean, talk about success after pro bodybuilding. This guy, everybody right here. Yeah, congratulations, man. Because hardest working man in the room. You certainly have been working your tail off. That's one thing I always hear about you, always know about you. So congratulations. This wasn't all given to you. You had some luck, of course, but you had to be ready for all those opportunities, and you had to be ready to do the work afterward too. So it's really you too. That's it, man. Thank you so much. It's been really cool talking to you again. You're going to be in the next issue of Muscular Development with Dr. Thomas Conley on the cover, believe it or not. Yeah. Another star client of Brad's. If you guys didn't
great guy too, and another workaholic. You know, Tom. That's why me and Tom got along so much, because that man works his ass off, but also dedicates his life to his kids too. He's got 4 kids all across the country. He's flying around, going to hockey games, doing this, doing that, flying around, going to see all of his clients. He has a practice in New York, a practice in California. You know, I train the man every morning at 5:30 in the morning because he's on the go 100 miles an hour all the time. So Tom truly deserves everything that he has coming for him. And I'm so excited for him to see how he can do in his pro debut.
That's right. You guys, was it July up in Mexico? It's going to be the first
13th, one? Yeah, Mexico. Yep.
What's the name of the show? Do you know?
Not sure.
Probably the Mexico Pro, maybe.
Yeah, probably something like that, or Tijuana Pro or something like that.
The Mexico Pro, but it'll be in Tampa. That's an inside joke. You guys get that joke, right, everybody? So
I hope so.
everything's in freaking Tampa now. Cool. Well, Brad, thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate it very much. Congratulations on everything going on. Continued success. And everybody, thanks for watching. Ronline Report with this man, Brad Rowe. We'll see you next time.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Good stuff, Brad.